Hello, welcome to the show. My name is Wangoingogi. Today we are at the Horn of Africa Insurance Company right here in Hargeisa. We will learn all about insurance, what it is all about, and why you should consider insuring yourself, your family, and your property.
I looked at a number of businesses in Somaliland when I came here, and they were very diverse set of businesses that I looked at. And the good thing is that there is a lot of opportunity in Somaliland to do different things. But we chose insurance because, number one, we had an insurance background. So I worked for a company called AIG in New York for many years, and it's the largest insurance company in the world. Our president also worked for an insurance company in the US called Liberty Mutual. So we had insurance background. And then the second reason was because there is actually a need for insurance in Somaliland. And it needs more than one company. So the need for insurance was really the deciding factor between insurance and some of the other businesses that we looked at.
Why are we not having as many insurance companies as many like other countries in the world?
That's a very good question. For two reasons. One, insurance is not something that's very well known in the country. There used to be when there was Somalia, a long time ago. There used to be an insurance company in the country that covered the whole country. But since the Civil War, and there hasn't been, for a long time, an insurance company. So the awareness of people about insurance, the need for insurance, is still lacking. Secondly, there has been no insurance act passed. So the regulations for somebody to have their car insured or their cargo insured is not there. A lot of people, when they build a house, they build it with cash. So there is the need for somebody to borrow from a bank to build their house also hasn't been, hasn't been there in the past, because the banks will then insist on having insurance. So a lot of the regulations that will have somebody require insurance have not been passed yet. There is one company, two companies, I believe, that are already operating here, but most of them are targeting the international community who operates here. But there has to be a company that can cater to everybody, not just the international community, but the average Somali. So that's what we're trying to do with our company. We're targeting the average person who wants their car insured, who wants a medical coverage for themselves or for their families. Average person who wants to bring something into the country and needs insurance. So that's really the reason why we think we kind of differentiate ourselves from the competition. Plus the fact that as management, we have a lot of insurance background, international insurance background, and therefore we operate with international standards, even though the company's operations are based on Islamic principles, but we still use international insurance standards to operate our company.
You mentioned that there are no regulations that govern how insurance companies operate in the country. So at this time, is your company self-regulated or under what regulations are you operating?
So that's a good question also. We do have licenses as the other insurance companies do. So we have license from the government. But most of the time, regulations lag behind the business. So the business gets started first. And then, government says, okay, well, this business are here, how do we regulate them? And I don't think it's a very difficult thing to do because, all over the world, insurance is regulated, including in our neighbors, Kenya, Djibouti, Ethiopia. So the regulations are not difficult to put in place, but you really can't put regulations in place if there are no companies to regulate. So we are now getting to the point where we are, we will be regulated. We had a central bank governor come here to visit us the other day, and the banks and the supervisor for financial institutions just to look over the place and what we are doing. But formally, all of that will be formalized once the Insurance Act is passed. In the meantime, we are hoping that other what I call codes would be passed in the meantime, like auto insurance can be done, medical insurance can be passed, cargo insurance can be passed, but then you will require an act later on to put all that together and to cover the entire industry because the industry will be bigger and hopefully better in the near future.
Well, to my understanding, insurance is actually a compensation for loss.
Right.
It can be you have lost somebody, you have lost your business. So what exactly are you as a company offering?
Yeah, so one of the, that's another good question, but one of the things that is a problem in Somaliland is if your car hits somebody and you are at fault, let's say, then your clan will come into the picture and they will compensate the other car. They will compensate, if somebody's injured or dies or something like that. Insurance is really supposed to do away with all of that. Once the insurance system is in effect properly in Somaliland, there should be no need for the clan to pay compensation. If somebody kills somebody deliberately, of course that's a law in the law and order matter, and the courts will deal with it. If somebody is accidentally hit by a car, then insurance companies should be able to compensate some of those things. And yes, we do provide that.
How about me as a passenger, maybe in a public vehicle, and maybe the bus causes an accident and I'm injured? Who will pay me?
If, let's say, our vehicle that we insured hits your bus, and your bus is, then you are injured as a result of that. Our insurer should be able to cover that. If the authorities can prove that our customer was at fault, we should be able to offer medical compensation. When somebody dies, we should be able to offer something as well. So this is the whole idea about insurance. In the past, even all over Africa, including in Kenya, there's the communities who used to get together and pay, a compensation. Once the insurance companies came in, then the insurance companies took over that function. And really that's a very important benefit for Somaliland because you can't keep going back to the clan. It perpetuates the clan system because then there's more reliance on the clan. Once insurance companies start footing some of this bill, then the clan becomes, you don't need the clan as much. You'll always need the clan for something because it's a social system, but there will be less need for things like car accidents and things like that. Really should not be paid by the clan. It should be the insurance companies who deal with those kind of things. But that will only really come together in a very nice way if the law is passed for everybody to have car insurance. Okay, so if two cars get into an accident, my customer's car hits your car, my customer is insured. Okay, if it's his fault, then we will compensate you. But if you're at fault, then your insurance is supposed to compensate our driver, right? Our customer. But if you don't have a system where everybody is insured, then if in this scenario where you are at fault, okay, if you are at fault and you have no insurance, then our insurance company will not pay because you are at fault. Therefore, our customer is hurt because of that, because there is no insurance standing behind you to compensate them for your fault. So it's very important to have car insurance law that requires at least what we call third-party liability, third-party insurance, which is to cover somebody else if you are at fault. That should be mandatory for everybody, as it is mandatory in every country in the world. We do provide medical insurance, both for individuals and families and for groups of businesses. So for example, a business that has 10 people working for them can provide insurance for their health insurance for their employees. So we provide that, whether it's 10 people or 100 people or 1,000 people, we can provide insurance for employees of companies, which is very important because that is an additional benefit or compensation that that company is giving to their employees, and it helps them retain that employee because he has that benefit. So we do provide medical. We also provide property insurance, so we can insure buildings, commercial buildings. We can provide individual houses insurance because you may think you don't need to have insurance for your house, but one of the issues we have in Somaliland and most of Africa is shortage, electric shortages, which can cause fire. So if that house burns down, you spend $200,000-$300,000 on it, and if it burns down, you have no compensation if you have no insurance. If you have insurance, then you get compensated and you rebuild that. Then the other insurance we provide is cargo insurance. So we provide marine cargo. You can bring goods from anywhere in the world, pretty much, and we can cover it all the way to the port in Berbera. We also can provide transit cargo. So once the cargo arrives in Berbera and you take it on a truck and you are sending it to another destination, we can also cover that up to that destination. So from end to end, really, we can cover cargo insurance. The other benefit is that when you insure your goods from overseas, number one, it's very difficult to file a claim overseas, whereas we're here locally, they can file a claim with us. And number two, you're taking that revenue out of the country and giving it to other countries when you have that insurance.
Outside the country.
Exactly. You can get it from outside, sure, but that insurance revenue is going somewhere else instead of using the local insurance companies and then keeping that revenue here. Secondly, like I said, when you insure it from overseas, it's difficult to file claims when you have a problem. You may have to wait months and months and months and months, or maybe never get it at all, because it's difficult for them to come here and verify the loss. Okay, whereas we're here, and they can knock on our door and say, "This is what happened to us." We can verify it easily, and then give them the compensation.
How about livestock insurance? Livestock production is a
yeah, life insurance is something I think that's very important to have. So a lot of I just want to actually clarify one thing. Why even need insurance? Because a lot of people in Somaliland think that insurance is against Islam,
Yes.
which I find that is haram. Yeah. And I say to those people, they say that to me, okay, so you think insurance is haram because you should be trusting in God, right? Yeah. Well, yeah, we're all supposed to trust in God, but also we take precautions. Mm-hmm. So for example, you don't go to bed at night with your doors open and your windows open because God is going to take care of you. Okay, God will take care of you, but you also are supposed to take precautions. So in everything in life is like that. God will take care of those who take care of themselves. He did not say, don't take any precautions and just rely on me. Okay, even the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was told in the Quran that when they're praying, okay, some of their troops should be standing behind them and some should be praying with him. Now God could easily have said, okay, all of you stand in line, I'll take care of you anyway. No, he said, take precautions. Take precautions. He's with them, he's watching everything, he knows what's going on. But he still said, take precautions. Make sure that some of you are protecting those who are praying.
But how do you convince people that this is okay?
Well, first of all, like I said, insurance is what's called a discretionary item, okay? So nobody likes to take insurance if they didn't want to take precautions. However, to say that God does not allow insurance is wrong, because I am saying that God allows people to take precautions. And this is purely a precautionary measure. That's what you take insurance for. You take health insurance in case you get sick, not because you're sick. But you're taking that precaution that, I may not have the financial resources, right? You take, you insure your cargo in case, Mother Nature comes in and destroys that ship, okay? You take precautions with your car for the same reason. Instead of relying on your tribe to always come to your rescue, you should be able to pay a little amount of money and take care of yourself. The Quran has many places in which God subhanahu wa ta'ala says that you should take precaution, and it is better that you take care of yourself instead of begging or relying on other people.
Has this been a challenge to you as a company, trying to convince people you should register with us?
Yeah.
And what other challenges have you experienced? Well,
the challenge of any industry that's new is there. Okay, so you've got, especially a financial institution, whether it's a bank or an insurance company, you face challenges of capacity, people who understand this industry. This is not an industry where in Kenya there is an insurance academy. There are many people who have been in the insurance business, and you can hire people from other insurance companies and bring them over. In this country, we're starting from scratch. So the capacity issue, building people, training them to understand insurance and to work in insurance, it's going to take time. But it is very necessary, because not only of the reasons I explained to you, but also because investors who want to come here and create jobs and invest in this country, they want to see insurance companies here, because they need somebody they can use as that precaution I talked about.
I'm sure people don't know. Is there any area of interest that your company would have in terms of corporate social responsibility, giving back to the society? Is there any area?
Absolutely. I mean, I personally believe in giving back to the society. Okay, it is a good being a good corporate citizen is just as important as being a good individual citizen. So already we do provide some funding for people who have programs that they want to sponsor. So we sponsor some companies, small here and there. We will be doing more of that. My ultimate goal is to help two areas. One, youth, because I'm very concerned about the youth unemployment in this country. So that's a big priority area for us, for me personally. Health is another area that we want to invest in, because other than the medical private hospitals, the government or public hospitals need a lot of improvement and a lot of help. So that's another area that we're very interested in helping out in the future. So there are a lot of plans I have when we make the money, what to do with it. Hopefully it will be productive and it will be good and will be done in a very, they call corporate, social responsibility, exactly. Corporate, so that's the word I was looking for. Yeah. Corporate social responsibility, CSR.
Yeah. So 10 years from now, what do you see yourself?
Well, 10 years from now, we obviously see this company not only in Somaliland, Somalia, Djibouti, Ethiopia, Kenya. We called this company Horn of Africa for a reason, because we want to be in the Horn of Africa. And we also want to be in other countries in East Africa where we have trade relationships with. Maybe even the Middle East, but it's definitely, I'm very big on Africa. So East Africa, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, those are the countries that we have our eyes on, in East Africa. So hopefully 10 years from now, we definitely, God willing, inshallah, be in all of these countries that I mentioned.
So just on a light note, I have this goldfish that I really love. Would you share it for me?
You have a what?
A goldfish.
A goldfish?
Yes.
I don't know about that one. That is like, that's kind of pushing it to the limit, right? I don't think so.
Thank you so much for making time.
Do you do that in Kenya? Do they do that?
Yes.
Goldfish?
You can show your dog, your cat.
Your cat?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a bit more advanced than us in that sense. But you know what happens is, as insurance industry matures, then they start pushing the envelope, and insuring more and more and more and more things. Yes. But at the moment, what we're concerned about is the high rate of accidents on the road, and how we can help with that, not only in insuring those cars, but hopefully working with the traffic police to make sure that there are speed limits, that there are rules and regulations that cars have to abide by, to make safe the road is safe here. It's not enough to just run over somebody and then say my clan is going to insure pay it. That's not the way to operate, because God is not going to forgive you for that. You made the mistake.
Insuring the vehicles.
Insuring the vehicles, insuring the cargo, insuring equipment. You are investing a lot of money in equipment. You are putting it on a freighter, on a ship, at sea. You are trusting to the elements. You should be insuring everything you bring into this country. And if you are insuring it, you should be using a local insurance company so that the money stays in the country and we can hire more people, create more jobs and all that, So we are very interested in all forms of insurance, not fish yet, fish tanks.
Thank you so much.
But we may get to that one day, you never know.
Thank you for making time. Thank you for welcoming CBA TV to the show.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much for coming.